My teenagers turned our family dysfunction into TikTok content without us knowing. What started as a horrifying discovery became a wake up call about our toxic family dynamics and how normalized chaos had become in our home. This is the story of how going viral taught us we needed serious help and the difficult conversation that followed. I thought I was having a heart attack when my sister called me at work 3 weeks ago. Have you seen what's on Emma and Jake's TikTok? She asked, her voice tight with concern. My twins are 16, and like most parents, I knew they were active on social media but didn't really monitor it closely. They seemed like good kids, honor roll students, no major behavior problems, the usual teenage eye rolling, but nothing that worried me. What TikTok? I asked, already dreading the answer. You need to see this. I'm sending you the link. My hands shook as I opened the video on my phone. The caption read, POV, your parents think they're on a reality show, but it's just Tuesday dinner, hashtag family drama, hashtag toxic parents, hashtag messy. The video showed our dining room from what must have been a hidden phone propped against the centerpiece. My husband David and I were in the middle of one of our discussions, which, watching it back, was clearly a full-blown screaming match about whose turn it was to handle the kids' dentist appointments. The argument escalated quickly, with both of us saying increasingly nasty things to each other while Emma and Jake sat there, eating in complete silence. But here's the thing that made my blood run cold. My kids weren't just sitting there. They were exchanging knowing looks, barely suppressed smirks, like they were watching a performance they'd seen 100 times before. The video had 847,000 views. I scrolled through their account with growing horror. There were dozens of videos spanning months, all featuring our family arguments. Each one had a different setup. When your parents fight about money but make it everyone's problem. David and me arguing about credit card bills while the kids did homework at the kitchen table. Tell me your family is dysfunctional without telling me. A compilation of our most explosive moments, set to trending audio. Dinner and a show, every single night. Multiple recordings of our meals derailing into arguments. Parents really said, let's traumatize the children and make it a daily activity. This one was just David and me having a fight about his mother that got so heated I threw a dish towel at him. The comments were what really destroyed me. OMG, I feel so bad for these kids. Someone call CPS. This is actually really sad. Your parents need therapy yesterday? How are you guys so calm during this chaos? But mixed in were also, this is hilarious content. Your parents are unhinged. Better than any reality show. Please tell me this is fake. That last comment hit hardest because I realized other people couldn't believe parents would actually behave this way in front of their children on a regular basis. I left work immediately and drove home, my mind racing. David was in his office on a work call, completely oblivious. The kids were in their rooms, supposedly doing homework. I knocked on Emma's door. She and Jake were both there, laughing at something on Jake's phone. We need to talk, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Both of you, downstairs, now. The look that passed between them told me they knew exactly what this was about. In the living room, I pulled up their TikTok account on our TV screen. Emma immediately started crying. Mom, we can explain. Explain what? I interrupted. Explain how you've been secretly recording our private family moments and posting them for strangers to mock? Explain how you've been violating our privacy for months? Explain how you've turned our home into content? You don't understand, Jake said, his voice shaking. We tried to talk to you guys about the fighting. Remember when we asked if you and Dad could maybe not yell during dinner? You said we were being dramatic and that healthy families have disagreements. The memory hit me like a slap. 3 months ago, after a particularly brutal argument about vacation planning that ruined Sunday dinner, Emma had quietly asked if we could try to keep dinner time peaceful. I had dismissed her concerns, telling her that she needed to understand that adults sometimes disagree and that hiding conflict from children was dishonest. We started recording because our friends didn't believe us when we talked about how intense it gets here. Emma explained through tears. At first, it was just to show them what we meant. But then people started commenting and sharing, and we realized maybe this isn't normal. The comments helped us understand that other families don't scream at each other every day, Jake added. We thought all parents were like this. I felt like I was going to be sick. So you decided to exploit our family problems for social media attention? We decided to cope with humor because nothing else was working, Emma shot back, suddenly defiant. Do you know what it's like to invite friends over and have to warn them that you and Dad might start World War III over who forgot to buy milk? Do you know how embarrassing it is to have teachers ask if everything's okay at home because we flinch when adults raise their voices? The room fell silent except for Emma's quiet sobbing. When David came downstairs to see what was happening, I showed him the videos. I watched his face go through the same stages mine had: confusion, recognition, horror, and finally, shame. Jesus Christ, he whispered, watching himself throw a coffee mug in the sink so hard it shattered while yelling about the lawnmower. Do I really look like that? You both do, Jake said quietly. All the time. We sat in stunned silence, watching months of our worst moments played back with trending audio and laughing emoji reactions. The worst part, Emma said, wiping her eyes, is that we got really good at predicting when you'd fight and what would set you off. We started recording automatically whenever you both came into the same room looking stressed. That night, after the kids went to bed, David and I had the most honest conversation we'd had in years. We realized that our normal level of conflict had slowly escalated over time until we were essentially living in a constant state of tension and hostility. We'd normalized screaming matches, name-calling, and emotional explosions to the point where our children had learned to weaponize our dysfunction for internet fame just to cope with it. The videos are down now. We made the kids delete the account and had a long conversation about privacy, consent, and healthy ways to process family stress. But we also acknowledged that they'd been trying to communicate their distress in the only way that seemed to get through to us. We're all in family therapy now. Our therapist helped us understand that our kids weren't malicious. They were resourceful children trying to survive in an emotionally chaotic environment. The fact that they could turn our arguments into entertainment content spoke to how completely they'd had to detach emotionally just to function. 3 weeks into therapy, Emma told us that she used to lie awake at night planning what she'd film the next day, trying to predict our triggers. It made me feel like I had some control over the chaos, she explained. Like if I could make other people laugh at it, maybe it wasn't so scary for us. The hardest part is realizing that our children had been parenting themselves through our dysfunction, and they'd done it with such skill that they accidentally became influencers in the process. David and I are working on our communication, our stress management, and creating actual peace in our home instead of just moments between battles. The kids are learning healthier coping mechanisms and boundaries around social media. Sometimes I wonder how many families are one viral video away from realizing they need help. Our kids held up a mirror to our behavior in the most public way possible, and while it was humiliating, it probably saved our family. We owe them an apology, but more than that, we owe them the peaceful home they should have had all along. Edit. For everyone asking about legal issues, we consulted a lawyer. Since we're their parents and it was filmed in our home, it's complicated. We're more focused on healing than punishment. Edit 2. To those saying we should punish them more severely, they were coping with trauma in the only way they knew how. Our anger belongs with ourselves, not with two kids who were just trying to survive our dysfunction. Edit 3. Thank you for all the support. For those asking, yes, we've seen significant improvement in just 3 weeks. Turns out when you stop screaming at each other daily, family life gets much more peaceful. Who knew?